All right, I am here with three legends here. I'm here with Peter Keay, Beni, how do I say your last name, Beni? Hakak?
Can you do Hakak?
I can't, but you said it.
Hakak.
And Muskal from LiquidEOS, LiquidApps, and then Pete, of course, is with Everything EOS and Dappiness Game Studio. Welcome to part one of a three-part series about the DAPP Network. Consider this episode an introduction to the team and how they got here, and then we'll dive into the weeds more technically over the next two. Please support this channel by voting for our sponsor, Cypherglass, using your favorite wallet or block explorer. And don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe. So this is actually the first time we're like meeting in a conversational setting face to face, but it's not the first time we've all met. So our first interaction with these guys, and especially Tao, was at the EOS hackathon in San Francisco. Pete, you want to retell that story? And then I'm curious to hear it from Tao's perspective as well, because it's pretty cool.
Yeah, sure. I didn't know Tal at the time, and I don't know if you did, Zach, or not. No. But you and I and Evan from Roundtable and a couple of guys from Tippet were all on a team building something, and I was the smart contract guy. And I don't know if you remember this, but the contract development toolkit had just pushed a lot of breaking changes. So everyone was kind of trying to grapple not only with this fairly new field of writing smart contracts on EOS and coming up with ideas and all that, but also with their code not working anymore. So I called some mentor over for something, and in retrospect it was something really simple, but it was new. And they had no idea how to help. They kind of stared at the screen. I'm not going to say who it is. I don't even know. They stared at the screen for a while, and they went, for about a minute, and then called somebody else over. And by the end, there were 5 people there. I think somebody snapped a photo. There were 5 mentors behind, and Tal Finally, Tal comes over. Somebody has the bright idea.
The clouds part, and we see his long mane, and he just comes and saves the day.
Yeah, he wrote
and everyone's like, "This is the best guy here. He's the Bancor guy." So
and it was something simple, but those are the hardest things to find. And so he sat there for a little while too, and he was like, "You need this is an asset, not a string, or something like that." And there it was. It was very, very simple. And so,
now I remember.
Tal's not only a key person for a number of enterprises, he's also a key person for the mentorship teams at hackathons. So we need him to stick around.
That evolved there very quickly in 2 days. No, but actually now that you remind me the details, it was, I think, just before the new CDT was released, and you were courageous enough to use it. And I think, like today, I think a couple of hours ago, they released 1.6, the new CDT. And once they release it, I have a notification, I think, for everything they release. And I jump right to the code and see what they broke. So I kind of cheated in that sense. I knew in advance what's going on. But I definitely didn't get to the area where they said 5 mentors try to solve it, please.
It was just funny because they came like one at a time. They're like, I don't know this, but this guy might, and it just kept like going to like the smarter guy to the smarter guy to the smarter guy till they got to the smartest guy. And it's funny how, like, for us, for me, the hackathon. Let me backtrack. So that event with us was significant because we thought that was really important because we were basically stuck there. But it's probably insignificant to you because you probably helped a lot of teams that day in the same way where you got them through those problems. And I could relate to that because, like, I met a lot of people at the hackathon, and then afterwards they'll message me on Telegram and remind me that we met. And it's like sometimes something that's like insignificant to one person is significant to the other person involved. And it's really cool to finally get to know you guys a little bit better after that, because at the time it was significant to us, probably insignificant to you guys, but now hopefully we made it a little more significant by bringing it up a few times. But it did mean a lot to us that you were able to come help out. And that's kind of like when the respect for Tao kind of like hit us, and now everyone else is catching wind of it too. Since, like,
you know what though,
launch.
I never actually ended up using that block of code.
I think to your point, to your point, I think that it's very significant to us. I think one of the points is that sharing knowledge and enabling others to do things and to build things is the most significant things that I can think of. That's the entire mission that I see right now.
I agree. Like
we see that in the block producer world as well. The thing that we all shake hands, even though everybody says that we're competing against each other, we're helping a lot. Every time, everywhere, every day, you see a lot of questions being raised, and we're answering everything.
I think in the hackathon it was less of a hierarchy where things escalated, and more like a network where things routed to the right person with the right expertise, and there were very strong people in there, and each one we learned very quickly who to route the things for. For example, dealt mostly. We saw a lot of Bancor algorithm related projects there, and naturally I focused most of the time on those projects because that's where I could help the most.
So that brings up an interesting point, and it's something Pete and I talked about on our podcast earlier this week, or last week, I guess, when this airs. But how everyone in blockchain, it seems like they bring all these different skill sets. So you talked about Bankwell, that was your specialty, but in blockchain, it seems like everyone, developers included, they're not just developers. They have these like hobbies or interests that they bring to the table, and it makes everyone so unique and different. So outside of like computer science, what are you two's biggest interests or hobbies that you think add a lot of value to what you bring to the table as far as like being a block producer and running the DAPP network and everything else blockchain related?
I'm such a busy geek that I only have interests. I don't have really hobbies. I really try to have hobbies, music, but I would lie if I say it's really a hobby, because the last time I picked an instrument was too long ago.
What do you mean? When I was there, we played.
that was long ago. I mostly I focus my other interests are mostly neuroscience, biology. I come from a deep background of AI. That's what I did most of my career. A lot of AI and a lot of embedded development, a lot of operating system, very high and very low.
So when you're not going down like the typical crypto rabbit holes on your phone, just reading tab after tab late at night, you're reading about other like nerdy things.
Yeah, definitely.
How about you, Beni?
My background is actually an engineer as well. I'm an industrial engineering management. That's what I studied, but I haven't written code for quite some time now. But I bring an economic background with me. One of the things I like the most is actually behavioral economics, and I feel like in our field, in the blockchain field, it's amazing to see how this works and what are the actions that people are taking, essentially as if this will be in the outside world as well. And I think this is what I bring to the table as well in the team as well itself.
Yeah.
Okay.
No, but Beni, tell us something about your real hobbies. It's not strategic. Okay. It's not strategic.
Eyal just told me that he thinks that everything I do is strategic. I don't know why.
That's good though. Honestly, I that's a good thing. If people think that, even if it's not strategic, that's good, because keep them guessing.
yeah, that's true. No, but for me, I love to travel. I enjoy the time with the family. I got married just before we started this project. So I'm not seeing my wife a lot, but she's amazing about this. I love playing the guitar. When I was with Tal, we actually played a bit from one line of code to the other.
Got a bunch of musicians here. Pete's a pianist.
Yep.
Really?
Like really
What
good
do you
one.
play, Tal?
I played the drums and I played the synthesizer, and now I bought this little toy. I'm fooling around with it.
Yeah.
It's like
Nice.
an all-in-one thingy.
Yeah.
Yeah, I've seen those. And Zach, you can sing, and we got a whole band here.
No, I did throw it on
Come
that
on, we
freestyle
can
rap
improv something.
at Evan's house last week.
All right, so you can rap. All right. Yeah, we got a whole thing here. Let's do a song.
No, we
Let's
are
not.
Let's not do a song. Why don't we move along here and get into what everyone actually wants to hear about and everyone's been waiting for, and let's get into the meat of this conversation. And let's talk about the DAPP Network and LiquidApps. And the story of LiquidApps, LiquidEOS also. So everyone keeps hearing your names associated with LiquidApps, but you're also the CEO and CTO of LiquidEOS, who's always been. You've been in the top 21 the entire time.
Actually,
sure.
No. We were. I think the lowest point was 37.
Ooh.
Yeah.
Then people looked you guys up on LinkedIn and were like, "Oh my god, these guys are rock stars."
We actually, our response was to try to contribute as much as possible from that point, and that showed. Everything that we did, especially in the realm of the stability and monitoring and making the infrastructure more robust and security, these kinds of stuff. We focused on that from that point and helping developers. I have a rule that every time I see something that I know I can solve in 2 minutes in the EOS developers group, even if it means writing a few lines of code, I always do that. And usually people think I have this in advance, the script.
Yeah. I think that's one of the most amazing things about the EOS community, and the developer community especially, is people like you doing that. Nathan James does the same exact thing, and it's like, how do these guys produce so much excellent code and product and still have the time to participate in Telegram so much? I don't know how you guys like live and sleep and like live a regular life outside of EOS. But
I can tell you that from my perspective, I'm in Israel. Tal is most of the time in San Francisco. And even though we're in different time zones, it seems like we're not, because we're constantly talking. I don't know when he sleeps. He doesn't know when I sleep. But at the end of the day, it does the job.
I can... whenever I'm on Telegram, I don't know, like there's people that live in Australia, all these weird time zones. I would never know the difference because it's like they're just always there. And I'm the same way. Yeah. Like I wake up to go to the bathroom at like 3 a.m. and I'm writing on Telegram and answering questions, and asking questions, commenting. But I think that's the biggest value. One of the biggest values, though, is the community, and I think that's why a lot of other projects and platforms, they're starting to take notice if they've been ignoring EOS. We've seen, so Bancor is one of them, and they've been supporting EOS since before the mainnet, but now we're seeing it with like Kyber, OneChain, and then who's the most recent one that was just like a day ago? Pete, help me out. You know this one?
Oh, OneChain's the most recent for me, man.
OneChain is. So is Kyber, OneChain, whatever. We'll just stick with those. Those are some big projects. So speaking of Bancor, before we start asking, I keep delaying on the DAPP Network questions. Everyone's been waiting for these questions. But the story of this and how you guys got involved with EOS actually goes back prior to the mainnet. So the first I was aware of the Bancor team working at all with the Block.One team was at the Dawn 4.0 release back in May. I think it was the last release, maybe the last release candidate before the mainnet launch, but the RAM market was announced that included the use of the Bancor algorithm. So How long, and were you guys involved? What was you guys' involvement with that, if you're allowed to talk about it? And how long prior to that release candidate were you working with them? Are you able to speak on that?
Yeah. So actually, part of the Bancor team flown in and actually met with Dan Lermer right before this happened. Me and Tal were not there yet, I have to say. But I can tell you that the Bancor founders and the whole team are real believers in the EOS ecosystem. And this is what led them to meet with Dan. And I think Dan really appreciates the work of the Bancor team as well. And this is actually what brought him into implementing the RAM algorithm on the base of the Bancor protocol itself. And they kind of infused the technology together that week. And actually, we saw just a few days ago the Bancor stamp on top of this with the new integrated wallet.
Yeah,
first time for
frictionless.
and
it's
EOS.
Nice. How did the decision come about to leave Bancor to do full-time EOS as a block producer? Because did that decision come easy? Was it fully supported by Bancor? Were they sad to see you go? So how'd that happen?
So first of all, they were really supportive. They completely understood. I left and joined Tal and actually created LiquidEOS. At that time, people didn't hear about it in the community. We kind of kept it in the background and kind of sent the first blog post about a few weeks before the mainnet launched. But as we like to do, we did it including the first voting app that was available at the time. Again, what Tal said before about us bringing more and more technology and trying to get the most value into the EOS ecosystem. I can tell you it wasn't easy for me personally. I adore the Bancor team. I feel like this is one of the greatest projects right now in our space. But since they were so welcoming to the idea and understanding that EOS itself is bound to be great, and they saw it as an opportunity. They co-founded the company with us, and that's what brought LiquidEOS to life.
Awesome. Then eventually LiquidApps down the line.
Yeah.
For me, it was a bit different. It was less surprising and less sad because I was designated from the get-go to be in charge of the first bridges that we build and to expand outside of the Ethereum network and basically have the first cross-chain application live, basically. So from that moment, after it was pretty obvious that EOS will be the first chain to expand to. But once we were seeing the technology and seeing how good it is, and it's actually ready for the kind of things that we're talking about for years, I think, of scalable DApps that are not just for financial transactions or CryptoKitties. And it was very natural to go full in on that from my perspective.
So the management team and the founders of Bancor, we know what happened with Ethereum. There are a few things that Bancor as a company needed in the Ethereum base protocol, updates and other changes. The conversation that led a more profound team focusing on EOS came in addition to that thought. Like, if we are going to make the first IBC, we better know exactly what we're dealing with. We better know and learn the technology as much as we can, and establish a good connection and relationship with the EOS protocol. Mm-hmm. So if we needed something, if we thought about an idea, we'll have a bigger audience to be heard, and together to allow ourselves to decide whether or not to accept these changes. And this is like all of this together brought us to creating LiquidEOS.
That's I've never heard that side of the story, and it's kind of interesting because as I mentioned, like with Kyber and OneChain and these other projects building these bridges and relays, they're not necessarily moving to EOS, just like Bancor is still an Ethereum project. It still has the Ethereum token, but it's almost like keeping your options open, because it's going to ensure that the project survives in a worst case scenario with Ethereum. It doesn't mean it's going to fail. It means if it does, then we have this other option. And if we're going to have an IBC between different platforms and blockchains, like it only makes sense that you investigate it and research it as you explained.
I think it's part of providing a good product, actually. You don't enforce your beliefs on your clients, on your customers. I think it's way better to provide the choice and let your users choose with their actions, with their transactions, with their transaction volume, with where the value flows, where the focus is going to be. And it doesn't have to be 100% focus on one place or the other. I think that's the beauty of IBC and cross-chain technology in general, that we can start to envision a mesh of chains, that each chain is very specific and very specialized in something.
Yeah. And this all ties into that's what decentralization is all about. If we were all some blockchain maximalist, like, yes, I support EOS more than any other chain, but that doesn't mean I don't want the others to succeed as well. I want us all to succeed. Competition is exactly what we want, and it makes everyone work harder and better, and hopefully at some point work together. And
right, you're right.
All of the infighting.
And even if you do want one chain to succeed, it doesn't mean that your customers are in your position. Mm-hmm. So you kind of have to give them their choice and listen to them, and not.
If you want to create a new DAPP, if you want to create a new DAPP, anyway.
All right. So let's do some rapid fire questions, and then we're going to jump into the DAPP network. Pete, you want to kick this off?
What's your favorite EOS project other than the projects we've talked about so far? Like nothing you're working on, nothing Zack and I are working on.
So not Bancor.
No.
Yeah, no, not Bancor.
It can't be anything you've ever touched.
Like I love Sense. I can see myself using it, and I love Everpedia. I love everything that's around knowledge building in a collaborative way. I can't wait to see how it goes in terms of adding the incentivization layer and everything.
I'm going to go with Effect AI.
That's a brand new one. Wow.
I'm going to go with Effect AI.
Did you know much about them before they announced their migration, or was that kind of when they came on your radar?
I'm going to say that unrelated to my answer, we had a few conversations before they announced. Mm-hmm. Because I feel like LiquidApps might be one of the reasons they allowed themselves to move. But I love what they're bringing to the table. I feel like this is something that can actually push the limits of the current people who uses blockchain in general. And that's what we need.
I think a big part of what we do, unrelated even to LiquidApps and the DAPP network, is we try to bring projects and teams, developers to the ecosystem. We try to outreach, and not just because we see it as a mission. You asked earlier, how do Nathan, for example, find the time to answer so many questions in the development team and still do so much? So I think the trick is that because he's so engaged with the community, his iterations are more to the point. His product becomes better. And
I think it almost puts the guys who take the time to do that. That's a skill set in itself. Beyond being technical, being social like that is a whole different skill set. And that's what I was talking about earlier with these different skill sets you bring to the table. You might not see it as social, like it is the same as like socializing with your friends, but it is socializing. It's building a community. It's creating engagement. That engagement is what creates a community, and it brings everybody up. Because, like you said earlier, something that might take you 2 minutes might take someone new 10 days, 2 hours, however long it takes them. It's probably not 2 minutes. And if you could save them that time, then they're on to the next problem, and then maybe someone else will be able to solve the next solution that they can't figure out themselves. So I love that.
And most developers are introverts, so it's more of a barrier than an actual skill set that you have to acquire. That's why the proactive outreach is so important.
They're introverts until they get comfortable with you. Then they light up like a Christmas tree, and they're like the most social butterfly you could meet.
Yeah, it reminds me of Linux. You know, they say Linux is very user-friendly, but it's very picky about its friends.
I always forget that Pete's actually like sort of introverted, because whenever we hang out, like he's like open book, he's hilarious, and he like just shines. But then like sometimes whenever like we're around new people, he's quiet. I see that all the time with technical people, and I like to kind of lighten them up, make them feel comfortable, because they're not always introverted. It's just like they have to get comfortable first and be talking about something that they enjoy and are interested in, which obviously is EOSIO.
That's why I recommend people to go to hackathon meetups as much as possible. Like that's the best practice you can have on that.
We said these questions were going to be rapid fire.
That's fine. This always with every crypto podcast and channel I've seen, the rapid fire questions always end up being some of the longest.
What's your favorite project out? I mean, yours could actually be the DAPP Network because you're not working on it. So
well, it is, but outside of the scope of this conversation, I actually like, this isn't a company or even like a GitHub repo. I like what Block.One is doing down in Virginia Tech, and education, and like Tal was saying, outreach to introverted people. The prospect of having blockchain courses, EOS courses in universities, not just Virginia Tech but beyond, I think that's something that's super exciting. And yeah, that's what I'd say.
I think that's super important to get into the traditional educational system. And what Block.One is doing is they're basically creating a factory of developers that they're going to hire for years to come, and it's genius. I'll follow up and just say I love Sense also because it finally got my wife to get an EOS wallet. I'm just happy she has a wallet because I've been trying for a year now, or I guess less than a year since the mainnet hasn't been live, but I've been wanting her to get just an account for the longest time, just to say she has one, just for whenever the first DAPP comes around that she's actually going to use. And I sent her a message and I did a video call with her, and I was just excited to get her on board because she accepts this thing. So, Tyler, are you married also?
Yeah, I am married, and actually my wife bought like 20 or 30 accounts in the first day of the mainnet launch.
Oh, God bless you.
She did the same. She did the same in Facebook when it launched. She opened like a bunch of pages, and they became very big. So we said, why not do the same? And just the opportunity cost is so low for being like as being an early adopter, even without knowing the bits and bytes. That I think she took the opportunity. But she's not a developer or anything or in the industry. I'm still working on that.
The whole dynamic between blockchain people, especially career blockchain people, and their wives or girlfriends or boyfriends is almost an episode in itself, because that's another topic you could bring up in any Telegram channel, and all these people could relate to exactly what you're going through. So Beni, how's your situation with your obsession here with blockchain at home?
So 24/7 doesn't go well with the ladies. But I can tell you that November 4th was when this was brought into the world, and it was a Sunday. Thank you. And I can tell you that at the same weekend, I was on a honeymoon alone at Tal's house.
For the hackathon.
For the hackathon, exactly.
I can tell you that I was in a very similar situation 16 years ago, 10 years ago, with my partner in the last company, and I think I still owe her a honeymoon.
Pete, you actually lost a girlfriend because of crypto, you said, didn't you?
Is that me?
Unless you're just joking. One time this topic came up and you said that. I don't know if you're joking.
Well, I lost a girlfriend because of tech, yeah, but not crypto, yeah.
I can understand
a similar thing.
Actually, I have a good friend. I won't mention names, but he actually broke up with his fiancée over Final Fantasy VII. And when we talked about it, when he mentioned that he actually she made a choice. It's me or the game, and it took him like a while to give her an answer, and she just left. And I asked him immediately, "Wait, was it Final Fantasy VII?" Okay, that's reasonable. So.
Oh man.
That's unique.
So shout out and respect to all the wives, girlfriends, and boyfriends out there that put up with this. I know my wife, God bless her, she deals with this. It's like a 24/7 obsession, but we're making it through. So we said rapid fire questions, right? I got to go to the next one. What was your first love in crypto after discovering BTC?
First love. Tal, what was your first love?
For me, that's quite easy. I think the moment that the blockchain started to form to being like trying to be a full Turing machine, a virtual machine, that when it blew my mind. That where smart contracts were introduced, where Ethereum virtual machine was just beginning. I think that blew my mind.
So the answer is Ethereum, or was there a virtual machine prior that you'd call out?
No, it's probably Ethereum.
This is going to lead me into the next question, and Pete, you're going to have to make you answer it first. What is the coin that you've owned at some point that you were the most embarrassed about? Pete, you start this one.
Oh man, I'll have to think about that. It's probably something that I still have that's worth like, $1. So I just leave it there. So I'm just going to scroll all the way down. I got mine. It's Shield. It was this privacy currency I was into. Again, quantum resistance. I went through this real like quantum resistant phase. And then at some point,
like it.
and then at some point and this is fairly recent. At some point the dev who had been really responsive and had implemented things at like high speed, ahead of schedule, just kind of disappeared. And for some reason, he had been the only one with the web wallet keys.
Sounds like a familiar story we've seen in the news recently.
I still have my Shield sitting around somewhere, but the value tanked because most people lost all theirs.
So if they had a trading pair with BitConnect, which one would be mooning right now?
It's still worth more than BitConnect.
All right.
Which is not saying anything.
You guys had time to think about this one. Most embarrassing story like mine or project or coin?
Actually, I hate to disappoint you, but I only invested in the top 5. And even when I did, I never take decisions my own. I'm very data driven, so it's all decision making. So even if some ridiculous coin would enter the portfolio, I could always blame the algorithm. It's not.
So Ripple.
Ripple.
He admitted he's in the XRP army. Pete, you love the low caps. That's probably how you get stuck with these weird dead end. Some of the dead end projects is you not dead end.
Sometimes
they're not dead end because I know
the
reason you got into them. Yeah, I know. Whenever I first met you, you were mining all kinds of weird stuff. I never even heard of any of them really. All right, Beni, it's your turn. Most embarrassing story or coin you've held in crypto?
I would say Ripple.
I think Ripple gets a lot of hate, but I think it gets more hate than it deserves. But I don't own any, but I have owned some several times in the past, like just bought and sold it. But I think everyone in here could raise their hand if they've ever owned Ripple. Come on, let's make everyone feel better.
No, I'm sorry.
Wait, what about the top 5 algorithm?
Right, but they never touched it. I never understood it. And once I I've never owned. It was from the top 5. I don't think I've ever owned it actually.
So we've got a community question here, the people's choice question, and it's just for Tal only. The world wants to know what brand of shampoo and conditioner you use to take care of that mane of yours.
What kind? Hair and Shoulders.
Head and Shoulders?
Yeah, they're the only one who agreed to pay me for saying this.
Oh man, it's like a commercial.
I feel like their stock has just dropped.
It just went up. It's mooning. Let's get out of crypto, invest in Head and Shoulders.
Look how clean my shoulders are.
One more question.
Okay.
One more rapid fire question. Favorite video game 1990s or earlier?
Wow.
Dune
So,
2.
Think the SNES or
Dune 2.
Doom 2?
Dune.
Oh, Dune. Okay, all right.
Dune. Yeah.
With or without like the wall hacks and stuff, or God mode? Were you playing without the codes or with them?
With the mod that introduced the 3 new armies. Did you have that? Like one of the first mods, like some group actually set and hacked it. It didn't support mods, so some groups actually set and hacked it to have new weapons. And yeah, it was a revolutionary game. Yeah.
So Doom 2 would have been like, I don't know when the series started. Was that early 90s, mid 90s, late 90s?
Dune? It was the first.
Did you say Dune or Doom?
Dune. The first RTS, the first real-time strategy.
Yeah. Dune.
Oh, I thought you said Doom. So that's
no.
the God mode and wall hack stuff. Okay. Doom.
Oh no, not the
like the shooter.
Not IDDT and the wall hack stuff.
IDDQD, IDKFA.
ID clip. I'm sorry. ID clip is going through the walls in Doom.
IDKFA.
ID clip. You said going through walls, right?
Yeah.
So ID clip.
That was the code. You'd like pull down the console screen. You'd type that in.
Right.
Yeah.
I remember that.
It was like
I can't believe you remember that code.
What was ITSP-ISPOPD?
There's IDKFA in Doom,
Yeah.
IDDQD, IDDT,
ID
clip.
It's crazy how those codes like stick in your mind. It's like the up, down, left, right, select.
Oh, yeah.
DA, select, start. I don't know it.
So much
block, run.
Yeah,
so much
playing Mortal
useless
Kombat
knowledge.
without the blood code was worthless. So everyone knows that code off by heart.
Back, low punch. And yeah.
Pete, why don't you answer this because I still need to think about it. What was your favorite game?
Oh man. All right. Well, let's see. I mean, it's XCOM, Age of Empires, or
XCOM.
I had it, but I just lost it. Yeah, it's either XCOM, Age of Empires, or Silent Hill, probably. Let's see. I'm gonna have to say XCOM. I don't know, and it's kind of a nerdy game. But if you guys haven't played XCOM, there's a reboot that's like the same game but in modern graphics. It's pretty cool.
Mine was Sim City, and I was absolutely ecstatic when Sim City 2000 came out, because that was probably the first game I got completely addicted to and had no life for like months of my childhood.
So the cheat codes there were FUND, right?
Yep.
FUND, and gave you like a 200,000 K of dollars.
Which makes the game more fun, because then you could actually build the stuff you want to build, and you don't have to waste that. Well, you still waste the same amount of time. You're just building more stuff.
Yeah.
All right. So I think this is a good spot to end part 1 of this podcast. So if you want to catch the actual questions about the DAPP network, you're going to have to tune in over the next day or two to catch part 2.